Back in 2018, AMD introduced Precision Boost Overdrive. It was a simple tool back then, allowing CPUs to unlock extra performance by managing power and thermal headroom. But over these years, this dynamic system has evolved into arguably the best overclocking tool for PC users. Welcome back to Nexify. Today we're going through the exact settings to fully utilize what PBO is capable of doing. This guide isn't just for the newest Zen 5 CPUs, it applies to all Ryzen CPUs out there that supports PBO. There's a lot to cover, so feel free to pause the video whenever you need. Take your time and let's get started. Before we even touch the BIOS, you need to download a few softwares. First, the SMUDebugTool. This is super important because it allows you to adjust your Curve Optimizer settings while you are in Windows. This means you don't have to constantly reboot into the BIOS every time you change a PBO setting. And trust me, this will save you hours. Next is Cinebench R23. It's technically a benchmarking software, but today we're using it for heavy load stress testing. Third, CoreCycler. This software stresses your CPU core by core, letting you pinpoint exactly which core is unstable. And finally, HWInfo64. You can use this to monitor your CPU core voltage, and ideally it should sit under 1.35 volts most of the time. You might see voltage spikes occasionally, and that is completely normal. Just make sure it's under 1.35 99% of the time. Now, there's one last crucial step. If you're using an ASUS or ASRock motherboard, please make sure your BIOS is updated to the very latest version, because the previous versions have a history of frying Ryzen chips, especially the X3D chips. Alright, let's restart the PC, head into the BIOS and switch it to the advanced view. Find your overclocking or tweaker tab, scroll down to advanced CPU configuration and select AMD overclocking. You should now see Precision Boost Overdrive, and this will be our focus for today. Now change the PBO settings to advanced and a new menu of options will drop down. Here's exactly how to set them. Starting with PBO limits, set this to motherboard. Your Mobo will automatically set the power and current limits based on its VRM capabilities. Next, PBO scaler control. You can choose between 1x and 10x. 1x is the default and it's the only option if you have limited cooling, while 10x forces the CPU to sustain high clock speeds for a bit longer, giving you absolute maximum performance. For example, a stock 9950 X3D scores around 42,000 in Cinebench R23, and with a 10x scaler and excellent cooling, it can hit over 46,000. That's nearly a 10% boost in multi-core performance. However, 10x comes with a ton of extra heat because of the increased voltage and current. Do not use 10x without a good cooling solution or the CPU will thermal throttle very quickly. And if you're really worried about silicon degradation, just leave it at 1x to 3x. For CPU boost clock override, you can change it to positive and unlock up to 200 MHz of extra boost clock. However, skip this setting if you have factory overclock chips like the 9850 X3D or the upcoming 9950 X3D2. Pushing those chips further can damage them with dangerously high voltage. By the way, Zen 3 and Zen 4 X3D chips cannot be overclocked, so this setting has no effect on those models. Moving on to platform thermal throttling limit, leave this at the default 95 degrees Celsius. The PBO algorithm will dynamically adjust your clock speeds based on temps, so you rarely hit 95 degrees anyway, unless you're stress testing on a potato cooler. Okay, that's all about the easy part. Here comes the Curve Optimizer. This step is a must for Ryzen CPUs, especially if you overclock them just now. This is where we undervolt the CPU, and there are two ways to do this, per CCD or per core. Although undervolting per core can give you the maximum gains, it's still better to do it per CCD because it's the most time-effective method. You can get 90% of the results by spending about 20 to 30% of the time. Then you might ask, why not just select all core? Well, because every CCD and every single core has its own unique voltage frequency curve. You can effectively lower the CPU voltage for each CCD or each core by undervolting, and it can increase the thermal headroom for the CPU to run faster. Plus, it prevents the CPU from running at high voltages that can cause permanent damage. Anyways, let me show you how to do it per CCD. If you have a single CCD model, it doesn't really matter if you select all cores or per CCD, they're basically the same. Now, make sure the Curve Optimizer is set to negative. Next, set the magnitude to 15. Do not start with 25 or 30. Not every chip can handle that kind of undervolting. Now, save and exit. After booting into Windows, we need to verify the stability of your settings. Open the SMUDebugTool and go to the PBO tab, and you should be able to see the values we just entered in the BIOS. Next, open up Cinebench R23 and enable Advanced Benchmark at the top left corner, and then run a single round multi-core benchmark. And here's your stress testing loop. If Cinebench runs perfectly without any errors or crashing, that means it's stable. For single CCD chips, go to SMUDebugTool and lower all the numbers by 2 and run the benchmark again. For double CCD chips, there can be different limits for each CCD, so you should lower your Curve Optimizer magnitudes alternatively, one CCD at a time. This way you can tell which CCD has hit the limit and which hasn't. Repeat these steps until an error pops up or your PC crashes. Once it crashes, write down the lowest stable number it ran without any errors. That's the absolute undervolting limit for your CPU. After discovering the limit, reboot your PC and go back into the BIOS. Enter those numbers into the Curve Optimizer. Alright, now let's fine-tune the curve shaper. This step is all about keeping your PC stable so you don't run into those annoying freezes when you're doing nothing or watching YouTube. On screen, you see the parameters laid out for different frequencies and temperatures, and the variable X represents the lowest magnitude you entered in the Curve Optimizer. With this formula sheet, most of you should be able to find yourself a reliable setting. But that's not all. Before you save and exit, search your BIOS for global C state control. You need to disable this setting because some AMD chips still randomly freeze even after setting up the curve shaper. Well, imagine your CPU is sleeping and it's running on very low voltage and current to save power. Suddenly, you wake it up and it instantly demands normal levels of voltage and current. But if the supply cannot ramp up fast enough to keep up, the CPU will freeze. By disabling C states, you remove that deep power saving stage entirely, ensuring there's never a voltage and current supply problem when your CPU needs it. However, disabling this will probably increase the idling temps by a little bit, but it's nothing noticeable. Once you have saved your settings and booted back into Windows, go ahead and launch CoreCycler. Just let it run with the default setup and it will spend about 6 minutes testing each physical core and will let you know if anything's off. If you do see an error, that means your undervolting settings is a bit too much. To fix that, open up SMUDebugTool and bump up the Curve Optimizer value by 1, and then run CoreCycler again to check the stability. Keep repeating this cycle until all cores pass without any errors, and that's it. You have tuned your Ryzen chip for stable, optimized performance. If that wasn't enough and you want to squeeze out every last drop of performance, that's where undervolting per core comes in. It's a bit trickier than the per CCD method, but don't worry, I'll walk you through it. Now boot into Windows and open up SMUDebugTool. In the CPU tab, set the all-core frequency to 5 GHz for Zen 5 CPUs, 4.5 GHz for Zen 4, and 4 GHz for Zen 3. Don't forget to hit apply. Now in the PBO tab, set the Curve Optimizer value to -50 for all your cores and hit apply. If that crashes your PC, enter -40 or even -30 instead. Open a power plan and select Advanced Power Settings. Then go to Processor Power Management and disable Processor Idle, and remember to click Apply. Next, fire up HWInfo64 to check the performance ranking of your cores. The core marked as number 1 is the best performing. Head back to the SMUDebugTool and set that core's magnitude to 0. Remember to click Apply. Switch back to HWinfo64, open up the settings for the sensors panel. Change the global polling period to 200 microseconds and set up a hotkey to pause data logging. Go to the main settings and enable snapshot CPU polling. Save the settings and go back to the sensor panel. Reset the monitoring values by clicking this little button. Let it run for a few seconds, then pause with your hotkey. Look at the core VID of your target core and jot it down in a notepad. That is your reference voltage. For double CCD processors, you have to obtain 2 reference VIDs since you have 2 CCDs. Core 0 to 7 is CCD 0 and 8 to 15 is CCD 1. The best performing cores are ranked as number 1 and number 8. The way you obtain the reference VIDs is exactly the same, just do it twice, one for each CCD. Now, reset that reference core's magnitude back to -50 or whatever you entered at the beginning, and set one of the other cores in the same CCD to 0. Do this one at a time or this will not work. Now, unpause data logging and observe the VID. Slowly adjust each core's magnitude until its VID matches the reference VID. But how do you adjust it? Well, a lower magnitude results in lower VID, and vice versa. Once the VID matches, write that magnitude down in your notepad. Repeat this process for each core in each CCD. Make sure that all the cores stay at -50, except for the one you're tuning. By the end, you have a full list of numbers like this. Now, please make sure you restart your computer before going to the next step. This is to erase the all-core frequency setting in the SMUDebugTool. Closing the application does not work, you must restart the PC. After rebooting, enter those values from your list into the SMUDebugTool. Then lower the numbers of all the cores by 2 in each cycle. Run R23 multi-core and repeat until an error appears. At this point, back it off slowly until it doesn't report any errors. Personally, I would increase all the numbers a little bit more, like 2 to 3 for better stability. Finally, open up CoreCycler to test stability of each core. Once everything passes, congratulations, you have undervolted your Ryzen chip core by core. Remember to save your Curve Optimizer settings into your BIOS and enjoy your fine-tuned CPU that gives you the maximum performance. So, the real question is, how much performance gain you get from this kind of fine-tuning? Well, to answer that question, I've run some benchmark and here's the results. In Cinebench R23, the gain in single-core performance is minimal. It's around 1.5 to 1.9%. However, the multi-core performance increases by 9.7% if you undervolt per CCD, and that gap widens to 12.3 when you do it per core. But how did it improve so much by only undervolting? Well, the truth is, undervolting can lower the CPU's temperature by reducing power consumption. In English, the CPU generates less heat and prevents itself from thermal throttling, so it can run high clock speeds under heavy load. However, that's just theoretical performance. How about real-life gaming? Well, this could be disappointing to some of you. The gains are quite small, especially in 1% lows. It's almost like fine-tuning your Ryzen chip is a waste of time. Or is it? Let's look at the CPU's condition during the CS2 benchmark. You can clearly see that my 9950X3D runs cooler when undervolted, no matter per CCD or per core. On average, it runs 8 degrees cooler while consuming 20 watts less power. Most importantly, the core voltage dropped from over 1.3 volts to around 1.2. It may not look like a huge difference at first, but undervolting can actually extend your CPU's lifespan. Lower voltage and lower temperatures both slow down the natural wear that happens inside your chip. So by undervolting, you're basically giving your CPU a longer lifespan. Besides, running voltages above 1.4 volts can permanently damage your processor. That's right, one voltage spike could kill your chip. Undervolting helps protect your CPU against that risk, keeping your computer safe and stable. So in short, undervolting isn't just about performance, it's about protecting your hardware and making sure your CPU doesn't die in a few years. Besides, you can lower your CPU's operating temperatures and reduce noise from your fans and CPU cooler. Alright, if this video helped you squeeze some extra performance, make sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button and let me know if your chip runs cooler now. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Nexify out.